Well, hey, I want to move to the next section real quick. And some of you have seen me share this before, but it relates to what we were talking about when we looked at how we go through transformation. But this is called the execution strategy cycle. And the thing about life is most of us don't need to learn something new. We kind of just need to go execute on what we already know to do. When I do one-on-one business coaching, is so interesting because most everybody, when we start, I will ask some version of this question, and it's usually not overt because it sounds mean when you say it. Is I'm like, what do you already know you should be doing that you're not doing? Right? Like, what do you already know you should be doing that you're not doing? And everybody so far that I've ever asked a version of that question to has an answer, right? And so then it's just a matter of, okay, great. Now, how do we set up systems and structures and navigate and negotiate your life to allow you to actually take those actions, right? By the way, I hope I'm not telling anything secret, Chris. Like, this has been Chris's journey over the last 2 months. It was like, what do you already know to do? And he was like, I need to do this, this, and this. Like, okay, let's do that. And then he did it. And he was like, it was a miracle. And it was like, well, it wasn't a miracle. It was just like you finally did what you knew you should, and you're doing it. And by the way, huge kudos to Chris for taking heroic action to do those things, right? This isn't like I mean, it was just amazing to watch that he actually did. By the way, the other thing I spend half my time doing in coaching is just saying, okay, so now that you didn't do what you knew you should and you said you would, what do we do next? Right. And we're going to talk about what that looks like in something I call this execution strategy cycle. So when it comes to execution, the first thing we need to do is we got to pick something. And I call this decision. Decision. You need to make a decision on what you're going to do. You need to make a decision on what you're going to do, right? And so today I'm going to go out and I'm going to have 5 conversations with potential new customers, clients, seller, whatever, right? Whoever you work with. 5 new hires for my business. Joe, 5 new musicians that I want to learn what they're up to, right? First, I'm going to make a decision. And then I'm going to go out and I'm going to do it. We call that an action. Now, let me say this. Then I'm going to go out and I'm going to do it or not do it. I'm going to do it well or I'm going to do it poorly. I don't know. I don't know. And by the way, I can feel some push, like some tension as I say that. That's like, what are you talking about? No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it awesome because I kick ass. Like, I know, you do. You do. And all of us sometimes say we're going to do something and don't do it. And I want to talk about what that means, what that looks like when it shows up. Because this third stage is reflection, right? We're going to reflect on our experience. And I have 4 questions that I like to ask. I'm going to write these down here. The first question is the accountability question. And we believe in something here called care-based accountability. And it means, hey, you want to improve your life. You want to improve your life for yourself, for your family, for your community. And you made a decision to take this action as your friend, as your community member, as your peer. I care enough to ask you if you did it. And so the accountability question is this simple. Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you have those 5 conversations? By the way, the answer to this is yes or so. The thing about that is, right, this is usually the common response. But the answer should be yes or no, right? Um, and then if it's no, it's well, what got in the way? What challenges did you have? What did we not consider? What obstacles were there? What relationships did you forget to negotiate before you committed to that decision? Okay, the next question is an evaluation question. By the way, it's super important during this action step to not evaluate the results yet. Go do the action and then decide if it worked or not, which means the action needs to be the right size. It needs to be the right risk size that you can go do it, not knowing what the results are going to be. This is about, being able to execute well. The next question on evaluation is, did it work? Right? Or we could say it another way, what results did we get? What results did we get? Only then should we decide if it was a good action or a bad action to take, right? But a lot of people get halfway into the action, allow their emotions to take over, and they go, no, never mind, I'm not going to do it. Oh, that was a terrible idea. Well, it wasn't a terrible idea. It was the fact that you stayed up till 3 a.m. and didn't eat a good breakfast. That's why you don't want to do it, right? Or you don't want to do it because it's hard, you know, all those types of things. The next level, I don't know what the title of this one is, but here's the question. What did you learn? What did you learn? And by the way, we could learn something about the action. We can learn something about ourselves. We can learn something about the different, the matrix of our lives and all the competing priorities, right, that are involved in it. Last question I like to call the innovation question, right? Innovation. And the innovation question is, what would you do differently? What would you do differently? This is my favorite way to ask this question is, if you could get in a DeLorean right now and take it up to 88 miles per hour. Oh, that's a reference to an 80s movie called Back to the Future. If you could go back in time and live this week over again, what would you do differently? What would you do differently? Right. And that's an innovation question. Because, hey, guess what? It's a new week. You get to try again. You get to do this again. By the way, if we want to overlay this with the conversation we had at the first half of the hour, we might call this information, right? We might call this experience. And we might call this wisdom. It's one of the reasons that I recommend asking these questions in relationship, right? Because we're really good at making, well, excuses for ourselves, at making up justifications, reasons for why we did things. It's so much richer when we do it with another person. Because by the way, what happens to your brain when it's like, did you do it? Well, no. You either make an excuse for yourself or you tell yourself you're a bad person, right? Whereas your friend can say, did you do it? No. Oh, well, what got in the way, man? I know you're a great person who just didn't do what you said you would. But what, I mean, I know you're a person of integrity. That doesn't happen a lot. So what got in the way? How can I help? Right. And so on and so forth. Anyway, once we do this reflection, it allows us to make a new decision, which creates new action and new reflection. And this is a cycle. We're going to talk in next month, I think. We're going to talk about the idea of living one life well lived and how we synthesize that. And then I'm going to show you a new model that, well, hasn't been created yet. Oh no, we lost Scott. We're going to show you a new model that hasn't been created yet. That is the habit formation model.